They told me it was just a house, just wood, bricks, and stories. But the moment I stepped inside, I knew something was watching me. The Winchester Mystery House isn't just strange, it's alive. Rooms that vanish, hallways that lead back to themselves, and a presence that doesn't want you to leave. I thought I was joining a harmless overnight tour, but by sunrise, I was missing, scratched, and carrying a note that didn't belong to this world. This isn't a legend. This isn't a ghost story. This is what really happened when I spent the night in Sarah Winchester's trap. I've always been drawn to strange places, not tourist spots, the places people whisper about, the ones that feel wrong. So when I heard I could join a private overnight tour of the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California, I jumped at the chance. You've probably heard the stories, how Sarah Winchester, widow of the rifle tycoon, spent 38 years building a house with no blueprint, obsessed with adding room after room to confuse the ghosts that haunted her. They say the spirits of everyone killed by a Winchester rifle followed her, and that she built this mansion to trap them. But what they don't tell you is what the house does to people who walk in and don't respect it. There were 6 of us that night. A small group, me, a paranormal investigator named Riley, a historian named Mark, 2 college students, Julia and her brother Ryan, and the host Laura, who ran these exclusive after-hours tours. No one else was allowed in, no actors, no tricks, and we were told clearly, do not wander off alone. By 9:30 p.m., the last of the day's staff had left, the massive front doors shut behind them, and for the first time, I felt the weight of the silence, not peaceful, heavy, like the house was listening. We started in the front parlor. The ceilings were high, the wallpaper peeling slightly in places, but it was the layout that struck me. It didn't make sense. Doors that opened to brick walls, stairs that led to ceilings, windows looking into other rooms. It was like the whole place was meant to confuse you or trap something. We stood in Sarah's favorite room, the séance room, a tiny chamber with 1 entrance and 3 exit doors. 1 exit leads to a hallway, another opens into a closet. The third, it opens into a 30-foot drop into the kitchen. They say Sarah would go in there each night to speak to the spirits and ask what to build next. Riley, the investigator, pulled out his audio recorder and EMF reader. "This is the heart of the house," she said, setting it on the floor. "If they're here, they'll show up here." We sat still, no talking, no movement, just the quiet old creaks of the floor and wind outside the warped glass windows. Then something started tapping behind the wall, soft at first, then rhythmic. I thought it might be old plumbing, but the timing was too exact. 3 taps. Pause, at 3 more. Laura raised her flashlight. "Sarah," she asked, "is that you?" The EMF reader lit up, strong green, then orange, then briefly red. Mark laughed nervously. Old wiring. But there was no wiring in this room. None. Sarah made sure of that. And then suddenly, the doorknob behind me began to turn, slowly, deliberately. I spun around, but the door didn't open. It just shook, like someone was testing it. Julia stood up. "Okay, that's enough." We left the séance room and headed into the upstairs hallways. That's when Ryan, her brother, whispered, "Guys, are those footsteps behind us?" We stopped. Silence, then creak, step, step. It came from around the corner behind us, but when Laura flashed her light, no one was there. Not even a rat. Just a long, empty hallway with dust floating in the beam of light. We pressed forward into what Sarah called the room of doors. 4 walls, 13 doors. Most of them didn't open. Some opened into each other. One opened into nothing but a bricked-in void. "I don't like this room," Julia whispered. "I feel dizzy." And she was right. I did too. Like the air was pressing inward, tilting. I swear the walls shifted slightly while we stood there. "Okay," Laura said. "Let's head to the attic. That's where the noises always peak." I didn't want to, but I followed. The attic was old, wooden, dusty. The smell of mildew and something else, gunpowder, lingered. Riley began another recording session, asking if any spirits wanted to speak. That's when we heard something behind a wall, dragging. Something being pulled slowly across the floor. Then came the breathing. Not ours, it was deep, wet, like someone drowning in air. Then Mark shouted, "Who's there? Show yourself!" And we got our answer. The entire wall slammed, hard enough to knock dust into the air. Julia screamed, the flashlight flickered, and then in the chaos I looked to my right and saw a woman standing at the back of the attic, veil over her face, dressed in full black, not moving. "Laura," I whispered, "is that—" But Laura was beside me. No one else should have been here. The woman turned and walked into the wall, not through a door, just disappeared into solid wood. Everyone saw it. We ran back downstairs, breathing hard. We tried to laugh it off. Nerves, old wood, shadows. But we were rattled. That's when I made a mistake. I left the group only for a second. I thought I saw movement by the grand staircase, a faint flicker of light or shadow. I stepped toward it, called out. No answer. I turned the corner, and the hallway I entered wasn't on the floor plan. It sloped slightly downward, was colder than the rest of the house, and I could hear chanting, not loud, just whispers, repeating the same word. 13, 13, 13. I turned to go back, and the hallway was gone. I was inside a tiny room, dust-covered, candles half burned, a table in the center, carved with symbols I didn't recognize, and on the table was a mirror. I looked into it, and for a moment, my reflection wasn't mine. It was Sarah's face, aged, pale, eyes wide and desperate. Then the reflection screamed, and the mirror shattered without being touched. I ran. I don't remember how long. I banged into walls, doors, turned corners. The house kept shifting. At one point, I swear I ran through the same hallway 3 times in a row. But finally, I found the front door. It was locked. Behind me, I heard the same woman's voice whisper, "You're already inside. You never left." That's the last thing I remember. When I woke up, it was daylight. I was on the front steps, paramedics surrounding me. The rest of the group had left hours ago, thinking I bailed or snuck out. But Laura came back with the police when I didn't show. She found me curled up by the entrance, fingernails torn, whispering the word 13. In my jacket pocket was a note. It was old, yellowed, written in spidery handwriting. "Room 13 is ready. It's waiting for you. It's been months since that night. But strange things keep happening. Doors in my home open on their own. I hear footsteps above me, though I live alone. And last week, I found a room in my basement I swear wasn't there before. It had 13 windows and 1 door. They found me outside the house, but I don't think I ever really left, because ever since that night, everywhere I go, the house follows. Rooms appear where they shouldn't. Whispers wake me at 3:13 a.m. And just last night I found a door in my apartment, one I swear wasn't there before. It had no handle, just a note taped to the center. Room 13 is ready, so if you ever visit the Winchester house, don't go looking for ghosts, because they're not lost. You are.